What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Realistic Room of Ipswich. This is episode number 2, and we've kicked off life in the top flight with the Tractor Boys. As you can see there, team of the week, no Ipswich players as of yet. We did kick off the season with our first game, a 2-0 loss at home to Liverpool. A pretty humble defeat considering in real life that was the exact result as well. Arnie Slot's men beating Kieran McKenna's side 2-0 in real life. So nothing to worry about just yet. We are second bottom, but we are just one game in. Well, we set up our team, our objectives, how we're going to be implementing this season in the last episode. If you haven't checked it out, go give it some love. Go watch the video because you guys absolutely smashed the love. You guys got involved with the comments. We'll talk about the scouting in just a second, where you guys gave loads of suggestions, but the love the first episode got is absolutely amazing. So thank you once again, and if you haven't subbed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. We're on our road to 1,000 subscribers, and obviously drop a like on the video if you're enjoying it so far. So in episode 1, we set up the team. Obviously, no transfer window in the summer. We are implementing a no transfer policy in the first window from January onwards. We'll be able to spend our cash. We did set up the team though, and after speaking to a few Ipswich fans and watching a few Ipswich games, I kind of got to know how the Tractor Boys set up, and it's very much when they're attacking, Leif Davis is the out ball down the left hand side. The left back is bombing on, whereas the right back fills in as a right centre back. So that's how we set up the team, and already in the first game we saw Leif Davis being a bit dangerous. And then we also sent a scout to England, because I always send a scout to the home nation of the team I'm managing. But this is where I got you guys involved. I asked you, where do you want me to send our other 2 scouts? And you guys came through with the suggestions. We had Jamaica suggested, because Jamaica have got so many players playing in the English divisions now, which is really cool. And of course, Steve McLaren's there, so how could we forget? Northern Ireland got suggested because Kieran McKenna is from Northern Ireland, so it'd be cool to bring in some players from his home nation. We had Algeria suggested. Someone said go and find the next Riyad Mahrez, which would be really cool. Had Australia suggested by Mitchell here. He is an Australian viewer. And we have a couple of players, obviously Burgess and Luongo, who are Australian. So that one, I was tempted to go with Australia, and that one I think I might go in the future. And the thing is, guys, if I don't use your suggestions this season, keep them coming, because I always take them on board. I always keep them in mind. And each season, I'm going to ask you guys where you want me to send my scouts. So keep the suggestions coming. But the second scout we're going to send, Douglas, we're going to send him to Egypt. Dexter and Mustafa both commented saying we want you to send a scout to Egypt, Junior, because one, they've got a good talent of players. Mo Salah, probably the best Egyptian player to ever play. Hegazi, another strong centre back. West Brom player, ex-West Brom player, playing in the Saudi league. And of course, for those older viewers, Mido, what a striker he was back in the day. Played for Tottenham, Middlesbrough, and a few other EFL teams. He was class. Let me know in the comments, by the way. Are you old enough to remember Mido? Do you remember him playing? I certainly do, and I was a big fan of the strikers. So we're going to send a scout out to Egypt, because we want to look for a defender like Hegazi, a winger like Salah, or a striker like Midu. And obviously you can send out specific specific roles that you want the scout to look for. In the English scout, we sent quite specific feedback that I want Cole to look for. Douglas, I just want him to look for players in that position. Nothing specific, just look for players in that position. And of course, another link that we have to Egypt is our captain, Sam Morsey, is from Egypt and he plays for Egypt. So it would be cool if we could bring in some fellow Egyptians into the side. And then the third suggestion, the third country we're going to scout. I wanted to scout a new country because we went through it last episode. There is an absolute plethora of countries that we can scout now, and you guys were coming through with so many suggestions. I really want to scout all the new countries. It'll be really cool, but I wanted to make sure we send one scout to the new country, and that is going to be Kosovo. Melis with a suggestion for Kosovo. They said that Muric, our goalkeeper, he is from there, so any Kosovo youngsters that come into the team, he could mentor them, he could welcome them into the team and show them around the place, which I really like. I like that when we scout a player, we already have a player from that country, so they can feel more at home. So we're going to send a scout to Kosovo, obviously newly added scouting option to the game. And just to be honest, Kosovo have a really inspiring story. In the 40s, 50s, 60s, they were fighting wars and independence. And then they were only allowed to play friendly games from the 2010s onwards. And then from 2016 onwards, they were allowed to play competitive football. So then that's when they started playing the World Cup qualifiers, Euro qualifiers. And they actually nearly made it to Euro 2020, getting knocked out in the playoffs. So we're going to send scouts to Kosovo, Egypt, and of course England. Thank you so much for your suggestions. Honestly, this is one of my favorite things, is getting you guys involved in the career modes. If you're new to the channel, this is something we do. We get you guys to suggest where you want me to send the scouts, but we also, at the end of the season, get you guys to vote on some player awards, because of course they do player awards in the game, but I like doing player awards for our team specifically and for you guys to vote on those players. So make sure you're watching throughout the season. Keep notes if you need to, because we do player of the season, young player of the season, and signing of the season. So those awards will happen at the end of each season as well. So thank you for getting your scouting suggestions in. As I said, if I haven't used your suggestion, keep them coming, because I'll keep them in mind, and we do implement different scouts every season and different scout suggestions. So keep them coming. So next port of call is some contract negotiations. We have, I think, 5 players whose contract runs out at the end of the season. Burgess, Luongo, Tuanzebe, as well as Leif Davis and Wolfenden, the centre-back. Now, Wolfenden doesn't start for us, but I wanted to give him an extension because we had 3 centre-backs there whose contracts expire at the end of the season, and I wanted to keep Wolfenden. Out of the 3, Wolfenden was the one for me that I'm going to keep on. Tuanzebe, I'm not too sure yet. Burgess, I think I'm going to add to the transfer list, but Wolfenden stays on. And then Leif Davis, we've already touched upon how he's actually a key figure in the way that we play and the style we play. He is going to be big for us this season, playing down the left-hand side. So we give him a bumper deal. We extend his contract by 3 years. We give him a little bit of a pay rise. And we also, I wanted to give him a bonus incentive, but there isn't assist bonuses, which is a shame, because if we could have given him an assist bonus, that would have been really cool. So heading into the first game of the episode, the first of 4, it is Manchester City away. The tough games keep coming. Ipswich, welcome back to the Premier League. Liverpool at home, and then the champions away. This is the toughest away game we'll have all season, so don't mind getting them out of the way early doors. Now, City drew 2-2 at Chelsea in the opening game of the season, whereas of course we lost 2-0 to Liverpool. We made 2 changes to the side that did lose that game. Tuanzebe in for Johnson, because as we mentioned, that right back kind of fits into a back 3, and Tuanzebe is more defensive inclined than Johnson, so I felt like Axel would suit better in this game rather than Johnson. And then, of course, Calvin Phillips is on loan from Man City, so he is unable to play against his parent club. So in comes the Australian Luongo. Well, 10 minutes in, KDB, I think, was fouled, or it might have been Phil Foden. But anyway, KDB, the Belgian, stepping up. And wow, I mean, what a free kick on the absolute edge of the box. Granted, I made the wall jump a little bit too early, but KDB puts this into the top corner. I mean, this guy's a magician. He is just, he's one of the best Premier League players of all time, potentially the best midfielder the Premier League's ever seen, and he shows there why. Let me know in the comments, actually, guys, do you think De Bruyne is the best midfielder the Premier League has ever seen? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to get your views. But yeah, he gives City the perfect start, and that's something that you don't want to do when you go to the Etihad. You want to keep compact, you want to keep composed, and keep them off the score sheet for as long as possible. And conceding 10 minutes in is the worst possible start we could have had. Muric made a couple of saves, including a really good one-on-one save with Haaland there. And then we weren't really testing Ortega. It was interesting that they went with Ortega in goal rather than Edison. Luongo with a long-distance shot that Ortega tipped over the bar. And then in the second half, Muric smothering Foden to deny him a chance to score, but then Phil Foden would have the last laugh, as in the 75th minute we did well to keep the score at 1, but Haaland finds Foden and Phil gets his first goal of the season and doubles his team's lead. As we see a really cool thing here, POV camera. John Stones getting subbed off. We get the POV. I mean, I hope that they have the POV cam in other aspects of the game as well. Imagine seeing a goal in a POV camera. That'd be insane. That'd be really, really cool. Anyway, the game petered out. City won it 2-0 very comfortably. Again, a respectable scoreline against a team that is going to be competing for the title this season, just like the Liverpool result. We haven't scored, which I'm not concerned of just yet. As I said, we aren't expecting to be picking up any sort of points or results against these teams. So I'm not too concerned yet. It's in the following games. If we aren't scoring, then it'll be a worry. But 2 games, 2 losses, but against Liverpool and Man City, I'm not too concerned. Pep Guardiola's side will for sure be competing for their record 5th title in a row. Well, going into the second game of the episode, it would be we return to Cup duty, Cheltenham at home at Portman Road. As you can see, they're 20th right now, are Cheltenham, 2 draws and 1 defeat from their 3 games. So struggling right now. The perfect chance for us to get some goals in the back of the net, but also gain some confidence within the team. And despite it being a fully changed 11, we make 11. We make 11 changes completely because, again, I thought they might have EA might have adjusted this going into FC25, but there's no objectives at all for the cup game, for the Carabao Cup games. So if I went on and won it with Ipswich, or we went out in the first round, it wouldn't affect the board's objectives, which kind of annoys me because it means that this game, it means nothing really. Obviously, I will still play it as I would, but it just means nothing for the board's objective, which, yeah, kind of feels a bit, a bit unimportant. Why have the cup competition in it in the first place? Well, yeah, as I said, we make 11 changes. Wolfenden, who just got his new contract, gets his first minutes of the season. Cajuste, who's on loan from Napoli, the midfielder, gets his first minutes, with Ogbene and Burns either side of Connor Chaplin, who captains the side tonight, and George Hurst is up front. For Cheltenham, they'll be playing a 5 at the back system with one familiar face, not in the starting lineup, but on the substitutes bench, Luke Young, the ex-Wrexham midfielder. Obviously, if you're new to the channel, then last year's FC game, we did a realistic rumour with Wrexham. If you want to go check it out, definitely do so, because we had a lot of fun with Wrexham. Got them a few promotions. I won't spoil anything, but it was a lot of fun with Wrexham. And Luke Young was he played a part in the team in the early stages, that's for sure. So good to see him over in Cheltenham now. Well, heading into the game, Wes Burns would first the Cheltenham keeper into his first save of the game. From a tight angle, and then Burns again would be on the ball. He would find Connor Chaplin, and the captain would give us our first goal in this save. Yes, a nice turn and a nice finish, and just as we had hoped, we get the POV cam for goals as well. That, do you know what, that looks really cool. Fair play, EA. That's a very nice touch indeed. Connor Chaplin getting the first goal in the Junior Parado era, even though we are managing as Kieran McKenna, it's the Junior Parado era, isn't it? And Connor Chaplin gets that first goal, and we lead 1-0. But fair play to Cheltenham, actually. They gave it a good go, and after going a goal behind, that kind of really gave them a kick up the arse they needed, and they were peppering Walton in between the sticks for us, and causing a bit of trouble. But Wes Burns again involved, finding George Hurst, and well, the striker probably should have done better there, shouldn't he? His header should at least be going on target. Keeper nowhere near it, but his header goes wide of the post, and the score remains 1-0. Well, the second half was very, very flat. There were no highlights at all. We were both teams had their spells of possession, but neither keeper tested at all. And we see this one out 1-0. So first victory on the board for Ipswich. And even though it is a meaningless cup in some sense, it's nice just for confidence sake to get the ball in the back of the net, to get a victory on the board as well, and we'll be through into the next round of the cup. I'll play a rotated side in the cup for most of the rounds until if we get to the serious rounds, and of course depending on the fixtures we have around us as well. But for us, the priority with Ipswich is staying up this season. As you can see there, Connor Chaplin receiving his Man of the Match award. The social media aspect of that they've added into FC25 it's pretty cool. It's quite cool to see. I think they'll be a lot more involved when the transfers come around, so that'll be, I think, Fabrizio Romano is in the game, which some of you may enjoy, some of you may not. But yeah, first victory on the board for Ipswich. Amari Hutchinson saying that he wanted a break, which we actually gave it to him. I didn't realise he asked for that, but of course we're going to rotate the side. Whereas Burns asking for a spot in the starting lineup after having a good game against Cheltenham, which, to be fair, Wes Burns was actually pretty decent in that one. Connor Chaplin as well. He's one that I'm going to potentially consider, because Smodics, I know it's been, against City and Liverpool, so it's hard to judge, but Connor Chaplin, you get a goal, you're definitely going to make me think about whether you should be in the side or not. Well, looking at our third round draw for the Carabao Cup, we have a trip to League 2 Harrogate Town. So again, definitely a winnable game that. As we see here, 5 of our players will be going on international duty, which is great to see. 4 of them Irish as well. Of course, now Ipswich promote to the Premier League, they won't have to deal with playing through an international break. As to be fair, in the Championship, you don't have to do that. They do stop the Championship, but in the game, for some reason, the Championship continues, which is a bit frustrating. But Ipswich, you're in the big time now. You don't have to deal with international breaks, playing through them. We have a nice break. Well, going into the third game of the episode, we're back to league duties. Fulham at home, the Cottagers, who have started a bit roughly, 1 draw and 1 defeat in their opening 2 games. They drew with Leicester, but they lost to Man United on the opening night. They also played in the Cup midweek, just like us, and they won 7-6 on penalties against Watford. I don't know if anyone saw it, actually, but last week, Fulham and Preston played out the longest Cup shootout. I think it's the longest Carabao Cup shootout in history, if I'm not mistaken. 17-16 it finished. It was absolutely ridiculous. But the whole team had to go through it almost twice. The keepers took them, and there was only two misses. Three misses. Sorry, it was very entertaining to watch. Hopefully, Fulham played some of their starting 11 in that game against Watford, so they'll be tied, whereas our 11 are rested. Well, that would maybe be the thing, because in these opening moments, we were really taking the game to Fulham, and we would grab the opening goal. Leif Davis with the cross and Liam Delap with the header. A really nice cushioned header that he just directs it into the far corner, and we take the lead 1-0, and we get our first Premier League goal on the board. As we mentioned, we're not expected to pick up results against Man City and Liverpool and the likes, but it's these games where we're going to need to pick up points, and especially if Fulham are struggling this season, these are the teams we need to be beaten. And on the 27-minute mark, wow, what a goal this is. We don't do goal of the season, but I think this would be up there for me. It was a beautiful move. Nice one-touch football between Delap, Davis, Hutchinson, Clark, Phillips. Everyone was involved. Nice one-touch football. And Delap gets his and our second goal of the game. Liam Delap, signed from Man City, son of Rory Delap, a proper Barclays man. If you remember Rory Delap, let me know in the comments, because his throw-ins for Stoke, they're iconic. That kind of phase of football's gone out of the game now, which is such a shame, because it feels proper Sunday league, just a lumping along throw-in into the box, having 6'5" defenders up there winning headers. Let me know if you remember Rory Delap and his famous throw-ins, because I certainly do. Well, Fulham would bounce back pretty quickly, actually. 7 minutes after we grabbed that second goal, Carlos Vinicius would halve the deficit. A nice assist from Andres Pereira, and Fulham would go into the break just 2-1 down, but definitely on top going into the second half. Carlos with a nice chance here, actually, but Muric with a great save to keep the scores at 2-1. And then with 10 minutes to go, Davis, bombing on as he always does, would be found, but his shot would hit the side netting. We would make a bunch of changes, looking to shut up shop and see out this game and hopefully secure our first 3 points on the boards. But Fulham would have a different thing to say in this game. Just 2-0 down, but they weren't giving up, the Cottagers, and Marco Silva's men, showing why they're actually playing really good football in real life. And it came across in this goal here, as unfortunately they would equalise. Rodrigo Muniz grabbing a second goal for Fulham, a second assist for Pereira, and this finish is quality. Now we're in the Premier League, we're going to be coming up against finishers and strikers like that. So despite being 2-0 up, we're now pegged back to 2-2. But in the final few minutes, could we grab a late chance? Delap, could he get his hat-trick? Smodix to Burns. Oh, good save, Leno. I thought we might win it there, and ball up to Delap. He gets tackled by Diop, and that looks like it's going to be full-time. Diop out wide to Pereira. Is there going to be one chance? No. So, a bittersweet result here at Portman Road. Our first point on the board, which is great to see. It's really positive. But considering we were 2-0 up, it's got to be 2 points dropped for sure. Positives, though, saw a lot more in the attacking front. Delap was brilliant, as you can see there, a 10 match rating, grabbing both goals. An assist for Davis to celebrate the new contract. An assist for Omari Hutchinson as well. That first half in particular, I thought we were class. We played really good football, and that second goal was sublime. When I scored that, I was like, that's a sick one. That is a good one. But unfortunately, we couldn't hold on, and we grabbed just a point from that match. So So far, 3 games in, we've actually replicated Ipswich's form in the league. Lost to Liverpool 2-0, lost to Man City, and drew with Fulham as Liam Delap grabbed the man of the match awards. Do you know what? Really promising signs. You know, when you bring in a new striker, especially into a promoted side, you want them to get a goal early doors, because the longer that drought goes on, the bigger the worry is. So for him to get 2 goals on the board early doors is definitely promising. As you can see there, after just 3 games, we're 18th right now, 1 point out of 3. 6 goals conceded. We've conceded 2 in every game. Hopefully we can try and shut up shop soon, as Wes Burns comes to us and says, look, boss, I was pretty disappointed you didn't start me. And you've got a fair point, Wes, because I haven't seen too much from Jack Clark on the left. So, you know, Wes, keep performing well, keep taking your chances when they come. And who knows, son, who knows? Well, we see the Youth Academy Scout report here from England, from Aidan Cole, and look at that, a 14-year-old. I've seen other people have like 13-year-old players scouted now, so it's cool that, you know, it's not just 15, 16, 17-year-old now, it's 13s and 14s. So if you're signing a player that young, you know they're going to be in your academy for a few years. You're going to have time to build them up. Unfortunately, that 14-year-old didn't really look too great, so we released him. We did sign Elliot Barker, though. We gave him a scholarship, a striker who is 55 rated overall, decent potential. But I wanted to fill out this youth academy, because it is our highest objective with the board is to focus on growing the youth academy and bringing in players for the future. Elliot Barker looks like he definitely potentially could be one. 17 already, so we could give him a pro deal if we wanted to. Maybe send him out on loan. But for now, we're gonna grow him into a poacher, because I think that would suit his style of play more. As we look at the contracts again, now that we're past the August transfer window, we can put players up for sale. Cameron Burgess, for me, I'm going to put him up. Sorry, Mitchell, I know he's one of your Australian boys, but for me, we got him and Tuanzebe, whose contract's running out. I'll probably let Burgess go. Maybe get Tuanzebe a new deal. I'm not too sure yet. And then I added a bunch of players to the transfer list. 4 of them, the top 4, are players that came through the Ipswich Academy. The biggest name there, Nick Pope, but we also got Flynn Downs in there, who came through the academy, and then a couple other players playing in the EFL. And then the rest of the players are players that have had loan spells at Ipswich over the years. So these are just players that I'm going to keep my eye on. I always look to see, when I start a new realistic career mode, I always see which players have come through the academy in that team, because I like the idea of potentially bringing some players back that have come through the academy, bringing them back home, if you will. And then players that were on loan as well. There are some good options there throughout the team. So just going to keep my eye on some of the players there. Some players in the twilights of their career that might want to see out the rest of their career at Ipswich. Some younger, more hungrier, maybe will want a chance of a starting position at Ipswich. So some players there that I'm going to keep my eye on. I also will, in a few episodes' time, get your guys' suggestions for potential transfers, because even though the summer transfer window is closed for us, the January one will open, and we'll have about 26, 27 million pounds to play with. So keep your eyes on transfer targets and how the team's playing as well, because if there's a position you feel like we're lacking, maybe we can bring in a player in that position. Well, going into the 4th and final game of the episode, it would be a visit to the south coast, to sunny Brighton, as we take on the Seagulls, hosting Ipswich Town. A game that ended 0-0 in real life. I would take a point in this game. Although saying that, Brighton have had a rough start of it. They're bottom of the Premier League right now. 1 draw, 2 defeats, just like us. 7 goals conceded in 3 games. So they're actually worse off than we are right now. So potentially this could be a game that we could be and maybe should be winning. Well, we'd make one change to the side that did draw with Fulham. Connor Chaplin in from the start, and CC would definitely receive the memo that he is in from the starting lineup, and he would grab our opening goal, found by Delap, who grabs an assist. Nice finish from Chaplin. I think, no digs on Schmodix, because I actually really like Sammy Schmodix. I think he had a fantastic season with Blackburn last year, and I like the signing from Ipswich, but I haven't seen too much from him in these opening games. Chaplin, he's got 2 goals in 2 appearances now, 2 goals in 2 starts. He could potentially be our cam. Let me know in the comments, guys. What do you reckon? Should Chaplin hold that position down? Well, if he keeps finishing like that, it's a no-brainer. Well, the Ipswich lead wouldn't last long, unfortunately. Just 5 minutes later, Evan Ferguson, the young Irishman, grabbing his first goal of the season. And then he was actually denied here by Muric. Do you know what? Muric has actually come up with some big saves early doors already in this season, keeping us in games. He comes up with a big save one-on-one to deny Ferguson his and Brighton's second goal of the game. Well, 10 minutes to go on the clock, and Omari Hutchinson has found the back stick, but his header goes agonisingly wide as Ipswich are pushing for a late winner here in this all bright pink kit. Well, Leif Davis is found by Omari Hutchinson, and what a finish! I did not realise how big this guy was going to be for us. I knew he was big. As I said, I spoke to Ipswich fans. I got the lowdown on the rundown on the team. Oh, as we get the POV camera as well. I love this feature. Goes and celebrates with the away fans as well. That is class. Hutchinson with the assist. That is his second or third already of the season. Leif Davis with the first touch. Half volley into the back of the net, and he goes and celebrates with those away fans. And the referee blows full time. As I mentioned, I did not realise how big Leif Davis was going to be for us, but he's already grabbed a goal and an assist from left back. He's just secured us our first 3 points of the season, our first victory back in the Premier League, a victory that was 20 years in the making for Ipswich. A huge win, taking advantage of a side out of form and a potential relegation candidate. I don't really expect Brighton to be down there with the squad they have, but if they are, that was a huge 3 points indeed. It looked like it was going to end a draw. It looked like we were going to keep replicating Ipswich's form. 2 defeats, then 2 draws. But we said no. We grabbed all 3 points. And to be honest, I think we deserved them. I think we were the better team, especially in the first half. Second half, Brighton did have a bit of pushback, as you would expect as the host team. But Leif Davis coming up clutch, as you can see there. And I'll tell you what, that POV camera, I am here for it all day. It was beautiful. And then seeing him celebrate with the away fans, that was class. Well, that'll be it for today's episode, guys. Episode 2. I hope you're enjoying the series as much as I am. Drop a like on it if you are. As you can see there, Ipswich up to 13th after 4 games. 1 win, 1 draw, 2 defeats. Not a bad start indeed. Sub to the channel if you haven't already. We are on our road to 1,000 subs, and the love you guys are showing for this series is incredible, so keep it up. And I will see you in episode 3 very soon.